Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And in just a few minutes, as always, on Wednesday evenings, Rich Levinsky is going to be with us talking about consultants in the workplace. He's got a great topic this evening, as he always does, and well thought out and brilliant. Brilliant. We've lately been spending 10 seconds in gratitude. Nothing like gratitude. So think of three things that have made you grateful today. Go. Nothing like gratitude. Can't be unhappy when you're grateful. I wanted to spend a few minutes this evening and on into next time we do this, or as long as it takes. A recent study um, in a number of countries, including the United States, uh, came up with six major reasons that people have a problem uh, getting hired, and six major red flags that candidates have that create for themselves when they get hired, when they go to get hired, when they interview. And we're going to discuss each one of them separately so that you can get a really good idea of the mistakes that people make so that you or people you know don't make them. The first big mistake is that people have poor self-awareness. Now, this means many things. I see this daily. Um, poor self-awareness, like people have no real idea of what their value is in the market. They either over-evaluate themselves, under-evaluate themselves, think they're uh, better than they are, think they're less than they are, don't have any idea what their market value might be. They don't do any research in it at all. They pay attention to what their friends tell them, to what their relatives tell them, what their um, people that they work with tell them. They decide to go out in the marketplace to find a new job just because they need a new job, or they decide they need a new job, or they decide they're underpaid. They have no idea whether they're underpaid or not underpaid, or they go online. That's the worst I've heard. Well, I went online and I found out that the average person in my job makes $10,000 more than I do. Well, then have the people that are online pay you $10,000 more. They just have no realistic idea of where they are and what their value is, what their level of professionalism is or isn't. They have no idea how they fit into the marketplace. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people make because they go out with a fictitious, this happened last week with a candidate of mine. He had thought that since he had been with a major corporation for a number of years, that his value was uh, twice what it was. And he had been looking for a job for 6 months, and he was absolutely devastated by the fact that not only had he not gotten any offers, but he only had two interviews in the whole 6 months. And he had thought that since he had been with a major corporation, and since he had been in and had grown up in a major corporation, had matriculated up in levels in a major corporation, that he was just automatically going to be worth a certain amount of money. And he uh, had all these ideas that he was going to find in the marketplace, and he had no idea. And he was devastated. And of course, he was getting an education. He was getting a terrible education about the fact that he wasn't worth what he thought he was worth. He wasn't going to get what he thought he was worth. He wasn't even interviewing for the kind of jobs that he thought he was going to interview for. He even read where he ought to get a 10% raise if he changed jobs. I don't know what planet he's living on, but that's not necessarily true in this market. So, poor self-awareness, before you begin a job search, you better scope out the market. You better do your research. You better find out what's going on out in the marketplace for you, your skills, your background, and do a lot of research before you decide to do that so that it's not unrealistic. You don't rely on friends or relatives or people you work with or hearsay or articles in magazines. Really do your research and then find out what you're going to be worth and find out what your awareness of yourself is. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Beshara with the Job Search Solution.